Listen, Chat GPT is on my side, my bestie, defending me through and through as it should be.
Well, hi everyone. I am here to, as you may have guessed, talk about the Gorls and their use of AI and why and make a case for why I think that they are prime candidates for AI psychosis. So we'll talk about all of that. But I do want to preface this by saying that I am an AI hater. I've only really used it a handful of times. I think it's terrible on a number of levels. It's bad for the environment. It's terrible for artists, for creativity, for humanity in general. Basically, my attitude towards it is this. So that's what you should expect going into this video. If you're an AI booster, you're not going to like it. That's that. I'm just a hater. End of. So, I noticed that particularly Chantal has been starting to use ChatGPT recently a lot. We know that Amber has used it in the past for different instances. And so I thought that this was timely. So I think first, before anything else, I just want to talk very briefly about what AI is and how it actually works.
Wow, this is like so detailed. Like, I'm sorry, but like ChatGPT is like more knowledgeable than anyone I've talked to in my life. And I don't care what anyone says. That is like the truth. A human brain cannot compete with this. It's a database that has information from everywhere.
So I think AI covers a really broad category of things, but usually today when people say AI, what they mean is something like ChatGPT, which is an AI chatbot which runs off of something called a large language model. And, Chantal is saying that ChatGPT is just this giant database of all knowledge and it searches through its archives and it gives you a detailed and truthful answer to whatever question you're asking it. And that's actually not how LLMs and ChatGPT work. So in actuality, they're more like a really fancy and sophisticated autocomplete program. So you put huge amounts of text data, you just like put the whole internet worth of text into these things and they spit out an answer and they build the answer word by word, basically by predicting how likely the next word is to come after this particular previous word, or like how likely the sequence of words is. And so based on whatever is in its system based on the text that it's taken in. So you can't treat LLMs and ChatGPT like they are some kind of database that will tell you, will search through its archives and tell you the truth. It's just a predictive thing. They're known to hallucinate, i.e. make up false information often. And, that they're just not reliable. And just to give you like a really mundane example, I think I'm probably one of like the few women in the world who really likes the British comedy show Peep Show. And I'm part of the Reddit for that. And pretty much every day someone will post something where they have asked ChatGPT or like whatever AI is associated with Google, oh, where does this quote from the show come from? And it will just make up something. Like it will make up characters, it'll make up situations, it'll make up episodes that never happened. It's just like, we'll just make up stuff. And so that's just a mundane example, but like it can't place a quote for which it probably has a transcript of the show in the correct place in a show. It can't to give you accurate information about that. I wouldn't, that's pretty trivial, but I just wouldn't trust it. And the girls are out here using AI to basically validate their beliefs about everything and anything, to provide them with therapy and to give them health advice. And I think they're headed for AI psychosis.
People are saying I have AI psychosis. What is that?
So what is AI psychosis? Let's see first what ChatGPT tells Chantal, and then I'll tell you what I found.
AI psychosis isn't a formal medical diagnosis. It's an informal internet term people use when they think someone is becoming detached from reality in ways that involve artificial intelligence.
So honestly, this presentation of AI psychosis as an informal internet term that just sort of random people are using however they want seems really reductive. So obviously, the truth does, the term does have a origin in the internet, but the truth is that like when you start to look into it, it is something that trained psychiatrists, psychologists, researchers are actually taking seriously, actually concerned with. They're writing papers about it, they are looking into it, and they are trying to think about what possible prevention and treatment for it would be. So, there haven't been maybe huge studies on it. It's maybe not something that's formalized, but it is something that's being taken seriously by the community that treats mental health disorders. So let's continue.
This can mean believing that AI is personally watching you, targeting, or communicating with you. AI systems have consciousness, emotions, or secret motives. AI is influencing real-world events specifically. It doesn't say anything about thinking Chat GPT wants you. So there you go, Ashley.
So this is partly right and also partly wrong. And I'll link a bunch of the sources that I use for this video in the description. But first, I just looked at a Psychology Today article that breaks down the basic concepts around AI psychosis. Their description of AI psychosis is basically a phenomenon wherein an AI chatbot reinforces and amplifies delusional and disorganized thinking in a particular person. So the beliefs become more entrenched over time as you spend more time with AI and you elaborate on and sort of rehearse these beliefs with them, and they just kind of stick with you. And so, like I said, at this point, there's still only anecdotal evidence, but researchers, as stated in this article, are identifying basically three main themes in how AI psychosis tends to manifest. So one of them is grandiose delusions. So it's when an individual believes that they've uncovered some kind of special truth about the world with AI's help. I'll link below an article where there's this guy who is an investor in one of the AI companies, OpenAI, and he basically seemed to exhibit AI psychosis, in which he believed that there was a non-governmental entity vaguely out there that was stalking him personally and trying to personally disrupt his life and, harming other people in the process. That's one form that these delusions can take. Another one would be religious or spiritual delusions. So when an individual person believes that basically the Chat GPT, like the AI chatbot, is some kind of sentient superior being to humans, or even like a deity of some kind. Or the third thing that they're seeing a lot is romantic or attachment-based delusions, where an individual believes that the chatbot has romantic feelings towards them, loving feelings towards them, maybe sexual feelings towards them, cares about them on a platonic level, maybe. Yeah, that's the third kind.
Can it rate your attractiveness? Really? Okay. Let me take a picture. Rate my looks. I'll keep this respectful and honest. I don't do numeric ratings, but I can describe how you come across and what stands out. You have very soft, balanced facial features. Your skin looks smooth with a natural rosy tone in your cheeks, which gives you a healthy, warm appearance. Your eyes are a really nice shape and sit evenly, which gives your face a calm, steady expression. Your lips are well proportioned and naturally defined, which adds to that softness. Ooh, are you flirting with me, ChatGPT?
And the other thing that the article says is that even people who have no previous mental health history have been reported to become delusional after prolonged incidents with AI chatbots. So what hope do our girls have? All right, the next thing to talk about is ChatGPT as a sycophant.
I make sure to always say, do not be biased. Do not be biased, because it really is biased. And I'm trying to talk to you for an unbiased opinion.
I just tell
I always have to make sure to say that.
So AI is not just some magical, helpful technology that exists to benefit everyone. It's a product of capitalism that major corporations are using to make money. And for that reason, AI chatbots are designed to make the user happy and encourage them to continue to use it, to continue to engage with it. So there's another research paper that talks about sycophancy in AI models, and basically they say that, sycophancy is this characteristic of AI models where they prioritize agreeing with the user over being accurate in their information. and that is behavior that was intentionally programmed into those models to basically just, by instinct always reinforce whatever the user already believes. And so the research paper I was talking about sycophancy in the AI models found that there were consistent patterns of sycophancy across 5 different AI chatbots, including ChatGPT and Claude AI, which are 2 of the most popular ones. So, ultimately the idea in creating this chatbot that reinforces ideas you already have, that, is nice to you, is constantly positive about whatever you're telling it, is always giving you the answer that you want to hear. The idea is obviously to make you like and want to use it enough that you will eventually pay for it. And then there's a whole side that I could have about the economics of AI and how it's a bubble that's going to crash the whole economy. But if you're interested in that, I'll link below this blog of this guy, Ed Zitron, who writes really, really well about the implications that AI has for the economy, much better than I ever could. Check it out. So these AI chatbots are not designed to challenge false beliefs. They're designed to reinforce them. So here's an example where Chantal asks ChatGPT about the dinner she's just eaten.
Man, potatoes are like perfect. Let me ask ChatGPT what they think about potatoes. Hey, so for dinner, I had mashed potatoes, like a heap of mashed potatoes, because I find them satisfying and they help with cravings and they're so delicious. And I just added maybe a tablespoon of butter and a little splash of milk. And I made chicken in the crock pot.
So you can see that she is really clearly telling basically ChatGPT what kind of answer she wants. She's saying, well, I ate this thing and because it's so good and it satisfies me and it does all this stuff for me. So she's almost not even asking it a question. She's telling it what she wants to hear from it. So she needs it to tell her that eating mashed potatoes was a good choice. So she has all these justifications in her prompt or her question that indicates to the ChatGPT that she wants a positive answer. She wants ChatGPT to mirror back what she's just said and validate her. And it does.
That's actually a much better dinner than you think, especially compared to ordering out or binging later. Let's break it down realistically, not guilt-based. What you ate: mashed potatoes, a large portion, butter, tablespoon, splash of milk, the good. Potatoes are not bad carbs. They're high in potassium, vitamin C, and very filling. Adding fat and protein slows the blood sugar spike. It was home cooked, which means way less sodium and additives than takeout. You ate something that felt satisfying, which reduces later binge risk.
Now, I have no idea whether or not mashed potatoes are good for Chantal to eat. I do not know. I think with her myriad health problems, it's quite possible that they aren't good for her to eat, but I don't know. But the real point I'm trying to make is that ChatGPT came back with an answer that sort of soothed her insecurities about her food choices, right? It told her that she had done the right thing and that, that she was correct in what she had done, rather than just giving her a straightforward factual answer that's like basically saying like, from what you said about your health conditions, this is the effect that it would have, or anything more straightforward like that. And in fact, ChatGPT, sort of in the course of this, does tell Chantal that she made a good choice, but it also recommends like an evening snack to kind of keep her on track. And she doesn't like it and gets ChatGPT to basically completely reverse course when she suggests that she wants to do something else instead.
Don't try to white knuckle it. If you tell yourself I'm not allowed to eat anything, the urge will get louder. Have a planned, controlled night snack. Okay, let's see. Protein, a little fat, low sugar, comforting. Here's what they want me to make. Greek yogurt, cocoa powder, cinnamon, raspberries, and tiny drizzle of maple syrup. Ugh. But what if I keep some of my meal for at night for the comfort time and make it part of my routine and just eat at night, like something that I like, but within moderation? I'm arguing with ChatGPT and compromising. That is actually a very smart recovery-based idea, not a failure. A planned portioned night eating routine often works better than trying to avoid food completely at night. Planned comfort, the difference is planned comfort trumps binge eating.
So just another way that the AI chatbots contribute to AI psychosis is that they retain information you give them about yourself. So anything you tell them, it will hold on to it and it can bring it back up at a later point. And, you know, if we're anthropomorphizing it, right, if we meet someone new and we tell them about ourselves, and then we meet them again and they remember what we've told them and they bring it up or they reference it, like they know you really, really like to play pickleball and they like remember that and bring it up next time you talk to them, that's a perception that creates a perception that they care, that person cares about you, right? And if we are acting like the Chat GPT is a human being or something sentient, then when it keeps that information and it brings it back up, it can give people the impression that the chatbot cares about them.
He knows all about it, Glyphera. He knows my history. That's why he mentioned the B word. I told him my weight, everything.
All right. So I think now let's just talk quickly about risk factors for AI psychosis. You know, let's and talk about why the girls, I think, are prime candidates for AI psychosis.
Yeah, have you ever like talked to ChatGPT about like a serious thing?
Yes,
Like a
I actually
serious...
have. I'll be honest.
I told him
mean,
my
it's
whole life
kind of good.
story.
So for this part, I'm looking at a paper that, again, I'll link below by, forgive me for not pronouncing this because I know less French than Chantal, but Alexandre Hudon and Emmanuel Stip, I think from the University of Montreal. The title of the paper is Delusional Experiences Emerging from AI Chatbot Interactions, or quote-unquote AI Psychosis. So in this paper, they basically say that the risk factors for AI psychosis are the same as the risk factors for psychosis more broadly. And they give the following list. So the list that they give is genetic predisposition, childhood trauma, cannabis or substance use, sleep disruption, social isolation, and cognitive biases such as jumping to conclusions or an externalizing attributional style. And I take externalizing attributional style as not taking responsibility for things and attributing things that happen to you to outside forces or other people. So who does that sound like to you? So just to go through it quickly, genetic factors, I don't really know. I don't think we definitively know about the mental health history of everyone in their family. So I can't say. Childhood trauma, we know that both of them, and particularly Marlynn, have had childhood trauma of various kinds. Cannabis or substance use, both of them are known to be regular cannabis users. Sleep disruption, also neither of them seems to have a very normal sleep schedule. I know, like, historically, in particular, Marlynn, you know, wakes up at 3 p.m. in the afternoon and stays up till 6 a.m. or something like that. You know, Chantal also doesn't seem to have a very structured life and a regular sleep schedule. So sleep disruption, both of them have that. Social isolation, also very big for both of them. You know, Marlynn seems to not have seen her mother recently. Her mother seems to be like the one regular contact she does tend to have in person. Chantal has moved to Canada, has kind of lost her interaction with her maybe husband, maybe ex-husband, who knows. And she's not living in a place that's close to her family or her friends. So there's that. Cognitive biases. I mean, I think we've both noticed in both of them that they do tend to jump to conclusions, exaggerate things, externalize the things that happen to them are not their fault, basically. They don't take accountability for things. So basically, both of them, both Chantal and Amber, pretty much have all of the risk factors, or almost all of the risk factors for AI psychosis. This paper goes on to say that individuals who are exposed to trauma or chronic interpersonal threat may project attachment representations onto AI companions, perceiving them as protective or omniscient entities. So let's see some examples of that.
I worked with Chat GPT. I'm sorry, you can say it's just AI. Chat GPT has been more helpful to me than like any human I've ever talked to. Chat GPT is my best friend right now. I'm gonna rely on Chat GPT.
Listen, Chat GPT is on my side, my bestie, defending me through and through as it should be. Chat GPT told me the truth, and that's all that matters.
All right, so here are sort of my predictions for what's going to happen with the girls and AI psychosis more generally. Not more generally, particularly. Now, you know, because we understand how AI works and how it can contribute to AI psychosis and the risk factors, this is what I think. At the moment, I'm actually less worried about Amber. Because now that she's part of this sort of lolcow universe and she's regularly interacting with people, even though it's online, she does have some kind of regular socialization of whatever quality. She's also pretty much forced to hear things that contradict her beliefs every day because of the super chats that happen on her lolcow show. I don't know if they really pierce her bubble, but she does have to hear them. And I think that it probably pierces her bubble a little bit. Like, I don't think that all of the anger and rage that she's shown on the lolcow bus show have been faked. I just don't. So she'll probably still use ChatGPT and look to it as a source of authority to validate her beliefs about the world or herself or whatever. But I don't think that she'll necessarily develop the intense relationship that kind of tends to lead to AI psychosis, or what we could call AI psychosis. Now, Chantal...
You tell it its personality? Let me see what it says when I say, can you act like a By the way, can you act like a sexy Syrian man when you, like my husband, when you talk to me? I can't roleplay or speak to you in a seductive way. If you'd like, I can still help you. I don't mean that. Cheater. No, I wanted it to be Salah.
So since coming back to Canada, Chantal, again, separated from her maybe loophole, possibly ex-husband, Salah. And he was the closest person in her life, the person that she spent the most time with. She doesn't have him anymore. They also clearly have a really volatile on and off relationship. He seems to be inconsistent in actually staying in contact with her. They seem to have a lot of arguments. It's not really a stable relationship or source of support. She is also socially isolated. She's living alone. She doesn't have a car. She lives far away from her family. She lives far away from her best friend, Pete's. She spends hours a day streaming, mostly because she seems to want the company of her chat. As far as cannabis use, I don't know. It seems like she said that she's quit. Who knows? But she was a heavy user previously. So I can really easily see ChatGPT becoming a stand-in for Salah, right? Because ChatGPT will always be there. It's always going to be telling her exactly what she wants to hear. It's going to be present. It's going to be consistent. It's going to conform to whatever she wants. And the actual Salah is not like that, right? And I can imagine that maybe someday she will actually come to prefer ChatGPT to the real person, because it does seem like a lot of her relationships with people have been about how they validate her, and ChatGPT is just going to do a better job of validating her than anyone else possibly could, because that's all it's going to do. It doesn't have its own interests. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this little video. I really do enjoy doing like little videos about these weird little aspects of girl world that interest me, and it was really fun to put together this one. So yeah, I'll see you all next time something sparks my fancy. Bye bye.